Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Oh, look at that. There's we've been having a clear out and you can see where is it? The box, the bag. I don't even know what it is. Oh, it should be going anyway. Oh, it's gone. Right. So, I'm really sorry about last week. I had all the intentions of putting together the live shows on Wednesday and Friday, but literally didn't happen. Due to the fact that we were just having way too much fun in Cornwall at Freefest. So I kind of half apologise, but half don't. Tonight we've got a Q&A, as Mondays should always be. And yeah, that's it. So any questions you got, just put them up on the messages. Now I'm going to start with a question I had earlier today on Messenger. Somebody said, what are good pair of fins to start with, beginner's fins? And my flippant answer was ones that fit, which is literally the most important thing. When you're buying the first pair of fins, they got to be comfy. So it is actually genuinely that you want to make sure they fit. Now, we wear full pocket fins when we're freediving. So the shape of the foot pocket is you can't change it. So it's not like where you can wear a pair of booties in scuba fins. The actual foot pocket is moulded, and it's not going to change. So you've got to make sure you get a shape of foot pocket that actually is similar to your foot. Because if your fins aren't comfortable, you're just not going to wear them. So it's super important to make sure you get them the right shapes and comfortable. So to that end, we have a lot of different makes in our big fin bags, or when we do the foundation courses. Purely, I don't sell fins, we don't sell fins, but we have loads of different makes in the bag so that people can try different makes to see which shape foot pockets fit them. And it's super important. As you go through, obviously, when you buy a second pair of fins, you still know which foot pockets fit you. So Cressy, for instance, tend to be long and thin. Oma tend to be wider, and some of the other ones, Mares and Siak, are quite shaped. Kind of wide at the big little toe and narrow at the big toe. So from there, for your first pair of fins, it really doesn't matter. You're going to go out and buy a pair of cheap fins. That's fine. If the person who was asking me had small feet, so you're limited. There's about 3 or 4 companies that do small fins. Siak do very small fins. Cressy go down to like 5-6. You're going to buy a pair of fins, something in the order of 40 to 80 quid for a beginner's pair or a beginner pair. They're not necessarily meant for beginners, but as in a first pair of fins. And you're going to use them and you're going to abuse them. And it's not worth going straight in with the carbon fins. You want to get a pair of fins that you're going to use and abuse, that you can lend to your mates later on, that you'll take on holiday, and then you'll know what kind of fins you're looking for when you're going to spend a bit more money on your second pair of fins, whether they're carbon or fiberglass, whatever. But anyway, that's it. So look for the foot pocket and go for that. You can get some cheapish carbon fibre fins, which, as long as they're soft, they're not too bad. About 100 quid from Fins for You, I think, and a few other companies. They're all right. They are a little bit better than plastic fins. If you're a smaller person, then it's more important to get softer fins, and therefore you might be more tempted to go for carbon fibre fins. so you can have them slightly softer and they still work. Be careful not to take your fins apart. Most fins, they say you can take them apart, and weirdly enough, Tristan's online now, and he'll attain to the fact that you don't really want to take them apart. Every time you take them apart, the clips get looser, so try not to take them apart. People do. I have to get them in their suitcases, but it's not really kind of good practice to get used to. The reason the companies do it is so you can buy the foot pockets with plastic fins, and then you upgrade to get carbon blades and put them in, or stiffer or lighter or whatever. But that's it's neither here nor there. So yeah, try not to take them apart. Okay, so Julian, hopefully that answers the question that I had on Messenger. So Julian, does nitrogen narcosis happen in freediving, and what depth does it start to occur? Is there anything you can do? Technically, if we were going for a real theoretical answer, nitrogen narcosis starts at 1 meter. Nitrogen becomes poisonous to the body when we are breathing under pressure. So I suppose if you really take it to an nth degree, it's happening now at 1 bar atmospheric pressure. But as the pressure increases, the effect increases. So you start noticing it maybe 30 meters, maybe 20 meters, depending on what you're doing. So scuba divers will say they notice the Naarks, nitrogen narcosis, maybe 20 meters. If they're working hard, you're breathing more, pumping more, gas through the body, and they notice it earlier. And there are some really interesting tests that, I think you can pay to do them. They put you into a dry chamber and compress the air in there, simulating depth, and they get you to do some simple maths. Kind of 3 times 3, 4 times 4, whatever, 2 plus 5, just like that, and you just do it. They take you down to 50 meters and ask you to do it again, and you can't really kind of do it, and it shows when the Naarks come in. There's a bit more specific tests to show where it comes in. So it's kind of noticeable, 20 meters, 30 meters. It's more noticeable if you're aware and chilled and relaxed and ready to be aware of it. If you're doing something fairly specific, you can kind of focus out of it. For instance, very similar to if you have half a glass of wine. If you're chilling, relaxing, half a glass of wine, you might feel a bit woo. But if you're having a glass of wine and having a serious conversation, it probably won't affect you. And it's the same with narcosis, nitrogen narcosis, because they're both narcosis in effect. Wine, alcohol narcosis, and nitrogen narcosis. And that's why they're similar effects. They affect the body in a similar sort of way. So, yeah. How is there anything you can do to minimize the effect? Yes, get used to it. In the same way that if you regularly drink half a glass of wine with your meal, it's not going to affect you, when you just have half a glass of wine. But if you've never drunk wine before and you have a half glass of wine, you're going to be feeling woo. Your body gets used to it. So acclimatization. Same with nitrogen narcosis. So if you start to feel it at 30 meters. You do the dive again a few times within a period of time, not within the same day, but if you're new to 30 meters, for instance, you might touch on it once or twice in a session, and then a couple of days later, once or twice, and then a couple of days later, a couple of times. You'll maybe go a little bit deeper, etc., and you won't notice the effects unless something changes, unless you kind of. Something specific happens. Obviously, you should be getting more relaxed at that depth, but you're getting more used to the narcosis. So, yeah. I have heard, and this is complete rumour, that drinking vast quantities of alcohol is a way to acclimatise to nitrogen narcosis. I don't believe it. But if you want to use that for an excuse to go out for a party and call it freedive training, that's up to you. But I don't think it's true. I generally have heard people kind of saying it, whether it's in jest, half in jest, I don't know. But I don't believe it because it's a different mechanism and different chemicals. So hopefully that answers your question. I will say that when we were doing Herbert's records, so we were doing to 214 meters, he was doing 214 meters, the narcosis was insane. So how did he get around it? He knew exactly what he was going to do, and he practiced in his mind, thinking about it. He practiced with us on the same setup. He knew exactly what he had to do. So he was going down, had to equalise at certain points all the way down. When the ETT didn't work, he let it out of his mouth. That's it. That's all he did. Obviously, the shallow technical stuff, whereas filling the ETT, he wasn't. It was 20 meters. He wasn't going to be narked at that depth. But the later things, and when he hit the bottom, he was going to pull the FP, and then he was going to come back and just go through the process. He'd still be narked at 20 meters when he met Arnaud, who had a bell. Literally, that's why Arnaud had a bell. So he'd come up to 20 meters and just stop and just he knew. Herbert knew he had to stay there until he heard the bell. There was no point in him trying to time it. So Arnaud waited at 20 meters. He came up. He stopped. Arnaud waited, and after a minute, ding, 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 and that was his deco time. So we made everything as clear, Herbert, as possible because he would be narked. And he did say that the 214 meters really didn't make much sense to him because he was so narked. But there you go. Okay, so hopefully it answers the question. So Tristan, weight placement on weight belts. Is there any golden rules? Space them out. Space them out. So you, if you have big lumps, so two kilo lumps, so you're in the sea and you're using 4 kilos, you put 2 kilos on each side and you should be fairly balanced. But it's going to be hard if you want 3 kilos with a 1 kilo lump and a 2 kilo lump, where to put them. So that's why we have half kilo lumps, and you space them around the belt. It does make quite a big difference, and especially the more relaxed you are, the more difference it's going to make. And I have obviously teaching. I might not have my own belt. I might have just borrowed a belt. I might have taken some weight off my belt, or just clipped a bit of when a student's overweight and I've taken a weight off and I'll clip it on, and you just find yourself rolling over all the time. You're relaxing, you're chatting, and you're just rolling over. So balancing it out is quite important. But more than that, the next step up is suit and comfort. So the smaller your back, your suit comes away a little bit at the smaller back. It's very hard to get a tailored suit to really to follow the contours of your lower back. So you can think about that when you're having your weight belt. Obviously, it's below that. You're going to wear your weight belt, but if you've got heavy weight, it's going to pull off the weight belt. So if you've got 2 kilo lump on a thin, lightweight freediving weight belt, the rubber is thinner on freediving belts than spearfishing weight belts, and the weight will kind of hang off. And because there's a little gap, in the small little back between you and the suit, and if you've got weight, so you can see how my t-shirt hangs straight down. Actually, the smaller my back goes in, but my suit will hang straight. And if I've got a weight here, and the weight is like hanging off, it's not going to create a particularly good seal. You can bear that in mind. And you will find also ladies wear their weight belts a lot lower, and it can rub on the hip bones. So again, you kind of just comfort move them around. It's Tristan says, I was wearing 4.5 kilos at Free Fest, so 9 weights, and just tried to distance them evenly before the dive. Exactly. But it never felt perfect. I see others centralised weights on the back and the hips. Yeah, you space them out. The people who centralise them on the back, it's literally they're going to be having 3 weights. And so 1 has to be at the back and 2 on the sides. I try and keep mine at the sides, but just out of, that's where they go. You want to try and keep the fronts clear. You're going to have the buckle, obviously, and hopefully you're going to have a knife or a line cutter. So you want to kind of match that on the other side where there, it isn't. Comfort, balance, yeah, and give it a go. Give it a go. Give it a go. How important is diet with freediving? Okay. And Laura follows that up with what is the best diet. So fantastic putting those 2 questions together. So how important is diet with freediving? Well, we are very simple. We are at the very heart of human beings. We are very simple. All we can do is eat, sleep, exercise, and think. That's it. They are the 4 things we can do to get our bodies to do what we are asking of them. So sleep is super important. It is, so underestimated. If you're not sleeping correctly, if you're not sleeping well, if you're not resting, then the body can't, adapt, change, build, etc. But what we put into our body instantly denotes how much materials and what materials the body has to rebuild. So it's super important. And it's also really boring because everybody knows what a good diet is, and you may be following a fantastic new trendy diet of eat on a Tuesday and just don't eat on a Wednesday, or Thursday afternoon only eat biscuits. I don't know what a trendy diet is at the moment, but everybody knows that the more the food looks like how it does in nature, the better it is for you. So you're eating your greens, you're eating your vegetables, you're eating your fruits and your fibre and your and you know how it is. And this will give you the best possibility for your body to do the functions you want, which is exercise and thinking, because that's all you can do. And the only way you can control those is breathing. Is like, that's all you have. Thinking and breathing. That's all you have. And then the actions come from the thinking. Food is one of those 4. Like, it's at the very least a quarter of important about freediving and cycling and running and everything else you do. So it's 25%. Gabby, I'm not sure everybody does know what a good diet is. See, I disagree. I think they all do. Like, they may pretend that they think McDonald's fits into a good diet, but I think everybody knows it doesn't. Personally, in my experience, meat doesn't play a big part in diet. That's my experience. So, you shouldn't be eating too much meat. However you take that statement, it's up to you. But, you're not gonna go too far wrong eating green vegetables every day of your life. That's it. There's your good diet. You're going to get all your vitamins, all your everything you need from your green veggies. That's it. Anything else you add to that, And I'm sorry to tell you that Twix chocolate bars don't look much like what they do in nature. Therefore, they're probably not good for you. That's it. Whereas steamed broccoli looks quite like it does in nature. That's just me. So kind of answers how important it is insanely important. It's up there with sleep and training, exercise, and sleep training, diet. That's it. That's all you have. And what is good diet? More vegetables, more green stuff. Yeah. You, as you go through, obviously you can tailor your diet to suit your needs, your situation, but it's pretty simple at a basic level. I have noticed that since taking animal proteins, dropping them quite significantly, my recovery in jiu-jitsu, my recovery times have dropped. I am recovered super quick. So from this, I'm kind of guessing that if I want my body to adapt, it's going to be the same thing. So if you're asking your body to do something you couldn't do yesterday, by teaching, learning, practicing, adaptation will happen in the same way that repairing does. So there you go. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. It's super important. Get it right. I'm trying to think. There was a couple of questions that came up last week in Free Fest. So we were in Cornwall, and I'm trying to remember what they were, because I said at the time I'm going to answer them in the Q&A, but I'm struggling to remember what they were. We were had several long conversations about animal experiences. So last week we were super lucky, and we did have dolphins, both Rizzo and common short nose, and we also had seals on a couple of dives, and we were talking about animal experiences. And personally, this is my personal opinion, if you sell a dive or a trip based on the animals you're going to see, it shifts the whole emphasis, not only the expectations of the people on the trip, but equally well, the people who are selling the trip realize that their revenue and people coming back following year depends on them seeing the animals, and therefore they will be tempted to chase the animals, whether it's chasing them, kind of plotting a course, or actually seeing them chase them. It's the same thing. So we were discussing how you could do this, and we just keep it very clear that trips and stuff are not based on the animals. Yes, you may see dolphins. We were very lucky we saw dolphins. But if you say, okay, we're going on a dolphin trip, we're going to Dolphin Island, we're going to go to see dolphins, people can then have an amazing dive, but if they don't see dolphins, they're set up to fail and come away going, yeah, but we didn't see dolphins. Or seals, or orcas, or whatever it is that the trip that you're being sold, they are selling on the idea of seeing that animal. So we don't do that. We say, we're going there, there's possibility of this and this and this. And in fact, one we do sell is called shark hunting trip. The shark hunting that we go to Cornwall, shark hunting. And people say, what sharks are you going to see? Oh, we're not going to see sharks. Oh, no, you won't see any sharks. But I can guarantee we'll hunt them, because we're looking for them and we're having fun doing it. We're exploring, etc., etc. It's the same as, all our other dives, but with an emphasis on trying to get to places where, sharks might be. And so we kind of play with that idea. And of course, even the word shark hunting, we're not hunting them at all. We're literally just trying to see them, see where they are, you know. And we make a joke of it because we don't want to go down that route of selling a trip based on the wildlife you might see. Because as I say, if I say to people we're going on a dolphin trip and there's some dolphins, I'm thinking I've got 10 people who have paid a lot of money to see these dolphins. We'll just take the boat that direction towards the dolphins. We'll chase the dolphins. We'll help you. And this along this route, bad things, bad things lie. So that was one thing we discussed last week. That was interesting. And I can't. There was another question. I can't for the life of me remember what it is. So I will leave it there for tonight. Don't forget, we do have a live session coming on Wednesday from the park. So if you're in the area, come along to Kingston Gate, Richmond Park, Kingston Gate, and join in the dry session. There is actually a dry session happening in Colchester tonight, being led by Paul. So, that's clearly why they're not online now. And tomorrow night in Brighton, Gabby's running a live session, a dry session. Oh, in fact, Paul's not running it. I think it's Yuki's running it in Colchester. So stay tuned. Wednesday we're going to do that kind of the park session again, and we'll send it out live. And on Friday we'll do a film night. So I'll be talking about films, whether they're films that we've made or whether they're films that we have inspired us throughout our time. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight. Again, I apologise about last week. Looking at August, we have got 4 weekends, possibly 5 weekends with things planned on them. I will be putting them up on Facebook, what we're planning. Lake days, both in London and Gildenborough, and hopefully getting over to Nice for a bit of a dive. And we've still got space on the last week of September on the yacht trip in Greece. Kiri says last minute question. All right, she's asking, is there a last minute question? Okay, and just a heads up, just a news flash, as it were. Although it's not very flash, it's a bit kind of long and drawn out. Pool sessions will be starting in September. I don't think we're going to get any of the pool sessions in August, so we're just kind of moving towards September. So all the pool sessions, start looking for them to start in September. Okay, so B's running the. It's true. Sorry, B. Sorry, Gary. Brighton. Doesn't matter. There's a Brighton session and B's running it. Just go along. Doesn't matter who's running it. They're both awesome and it's going to be great. So have fun in your dry session, and we'll see you on for a dry session on Wednesday. Okay. Ciao. See you later.